Please say I can speak now to you, former US Congressman Ron Paul. Great to have you on, Ron. We've just touched upon it there. Republicans in the Senate
Thank you.
have blocked that Democrat proposal for a full public release of Mueller's report. The Democrats want it. The Republicans don't. Why do you think they've blocked it?
Well, you know, the Democrats don't like to hear the truth, and if they had their way, they would not let anything else. They're just playing politics. That's all it is. They've been caught red-handed, lying through their teeth, and now they're just going on and on. You'd think they would just have a little bit of common sense or a little bit of sensation that there's what they have done, but no, they just march on. They've been lying for 2.5 years. They're going to continue to lie, and even this report, you know, dishonors all of them. But I think what drives all this is just, it's sad, but I think it's just plain old hatred. They decided they were going to hate Trump, and then there was a collusion. There was a collusion with the Republicans who didn't like Trump because he was a newcomer and he didn't deserve it. Then you had the Democrats automatically hating him. Then you had all the neocons who were both Republicans and Democrats. And then you had a collusion of the media, and they all got together and decided, well, this guy's a monster. We have to get rid of him, whether it's true or not. He is so dangerous, we have to do it. So they staked out a position where they were going to lie or do anything conceivable. But the whole thing backfired on them, and they deserve it all. But they're not going to go away. But I think pretty soon, though, the people are going to get, you know, catch on and get tired of listening to this. But right now, they haven't let up. They're continuing to go after Trump and lie about the whole mess.
I think one of the key points of that full-page report was that Robert Mueller said there wasn't enough evidence to say that the president committed any kind of crime in terms of obstruction of justice. But he also kind of dangled a carrot, didn't he, when he said that the president isn't exonerated. Is that why the Democrats want every word of this report published? They're looking for more evidence.
Yeah, that's their excuse, and I'm not sure that I don't like that term because it does invite question. But how can you say he's never been exonerated from what? Stealing banana when he was 12? You know, if you're going to try to prove everything is exonerated, you have to prove so many negatives that you're on a position. Well, you did this. We say you did such and such, so you prove that you didn't do that. Prove that you weren't there. So I think that's an open-ended term, but I think people are going to see through it. The Democrats are going to grab it and say, well, they're hiding something. Well, I think the whole thing just may continue to backfire on them because, you know, if anybody needed exposure, it was the Clinton campaign. They were the ones that were involved, along with Obama, in getting the crooked people at the FBI and the Justice Department and cocking up a scheme to get that special warrant to spy on Trump. I mean, now there's a crime. I think they were involved in blackmail. So if they want the can of worms to continue to be open more, who knows? There might be something in that report to say, my God, what did we do? You know, they didn't do such and such because there was a good reason to, and they were actually protecting the Democrats. And we all know, at least, that there's a consensus now that that Hillary did get special privileges. You know, there was a lot going on with her campaign, and she was involved, and she was doing this spying, and she was involved in the crookedness of the Justice Department and the FBI, but really it's been quiet. I don't think it's going to stay quiet, and I think the Democrats are going to probably keep this going, but eventually something's going to open up the whole thing with Hillary, because all the accusations made from the Hillary camp are things that she was really doing all along, and a lot of corruption there that really deserves exposure. This whole idea of framing somebody, and the people who were they framing? The Russians and Trump, right. And it was all based on lies. So those are serious things. But evidently, the Democrats aren't going to let up. But I think I'm a believer that truth in the long run comes out. And I didn't expect this one to come out so soon. But I think it'll continue to happen because history finally gets written correctly. Just think of all the lies that were told to get us involved in Iraq war. Well, the truth is out now. Everybody knows that it was all based on lies. But this one came to an end much sooner, and I think it's been a surprise to a lot of people, and it has shocked the media, and it has shocked these people who have been lying all along.
You're talking about the lies there, the lie that Donald Trump colluded with the Russian government. It's been great fodder, great fuel for several mainstream media channels and some prominent journalists. They've almost kind of pinned their reputations on it over the last 2 years. What about repercussions? President Trump has hinted that maybe he'll take some kind of action. Do you think he will? And if so, what would it be?
Well, I would think not, but it's anybody's guess. I think the action is going to be more in the political realm, in the Senate hearings, and following up with more investigation. When the final report comes out, I think what they'll find out is that they maybe deleted some names that would have hurt the Democrats. So I think it's going to be that way. I don't think he's going to open up with a new investigation or a new prosecutor. I would hope just the normal wheels of justice keeps turning, and that means that the only group that might look at this now seriously will be in the Senate and in the public arena. Maybe there's one or two people in the media that have learned a lesson, but they were the colluders. They were in the colluding, and they were participating in the lie, and they set this all up. So they're not likely to come clean very soon. But I think there's a much healthier atmosphere right now. But I don't think Trump has to have a specific goal of saying, I am going to announce and we're going to have this special prosecutor and go through something like that. I would guess that it's going to come about in a more normal process.
So if that's the case and Trump doesn't look for any kind of payback, that paints a picture where in the United States you've got a media that can say whatever it likes about the president of the country, no matter how insulting, no matter how defaming or just completely untrue. Is that a good situation to have in the country, and why is it like that?
No, and I don't think that when I modified what I was suggesting that Trump might do or not, but I think the normal process, which I'm referring to, is if you're out there lying under oath, I think that should be a crime, and they should look into it. So people who have been telling these lies, I think the lies told in the media get a little bit more difficult, but they will suffer the consequences. I think they already have, and there's been several in the FBI that have suffered the consequences, because they were involved in this, lying about get the FISA warrant and different things like this. So I think that the lying should be revealed, and it should be punished, if nothing else, just exposed, because the public will question this. As a libertarian, I sort of welcome all this, because it means that people are less trustworthy of government, because we're leery of the CIA and the FBI and going to war and the war on drugs and all this spying on people. So right now, a lot of people, are realizing that the government is not trustworthy, and I think that's healthy. But I think it should follow up by getting people in there you can trust, and finally come across with the government that is a little bit more honorable.
Perhaps another reason that the Democrats want the full Mueller report published is something that was included in it, the insistence by Robert Mueller that Russia did meddle in the 2016 US presidential election using cyber warfare. Do you think the Democrats will be looking for more fuel in the report to add to the flames that Russia somehow still has something to answer for?
Well, they might. I don't see where they can get very far on this, because I think the absurdity is the shift in policy between our two countries. Because I was delighted with 1989 and 1990, where the Soviet system was collapsing. We were talking with the Russians, we were trading with the Russians, and we were doing pretty well up until just a few years ago. Then all of a sudden, the military-industrial complex said, no, we have to have conflicts going on. We better get involved. We better, we have lots of reasons why we have to be involved in Syria and all these kind of things. things. We need a Cold War again, and that has been a problem. That's the sad part of it all, because as somebody who believes in the principles of liberty, we want to deal with people, we want to trade with people, we want to talk with people. We don't want to use sanctions, we don't want to use tariffs, we don't want to threaten people. But right now, you know, the consensus in this country has gone the other way. So in spite of the benefits coming from these lies being told, I think it's going to take a little while for people to wake up and say, you know, because they've built up so much animosity toward Russia. That is so disturbing. It was so unnecessary. But maybe this will be the beginning of a better relationship, and the rhetoric has to, you know, be softened. People got to the point where if even some of the people on in the internet, if you said anything that you defended the Russian position, you were considered, you know, a bad guy. So I hope that switches. I hope that changes. That's very important that attitude changes.
My guest this hour, former US Congressman Ron Paul. Ron, thank you.